Well, hi, welcome back. This is the, I believe, ninth part of the money and interest rate lecture uh, of the Introduction to Economics lecture series. This lecture series is prepared for the Middlesex University Northern Cyprus campus, and we were talking on the Fed and the money supply, and basically you might say central banks. Here, this is true for all central banks. Basically, um, well, uh, we have said increasing and decreasing money supply is considered another function of the central banks. We have already seen how central banks are regulating the banking system, but we might ask, why are they increasing or decreasing the money supply? Well, it is for the regulating the economy beyond uh, the banking system. Uh, so why they do how they do that, and what is basically well what are basically the main policies, main idea, main policies, main guidance they have in regulating the whole economy. We will see different options, but the main point here is the amount of money supply in the economy will be very much related to the interest rate in the economic system, and we will see why. And interest rate in the economic system is very much related to the investment level in the economic system. Because if it is cheaper to invest, people will pay money. Cheaper to borrow money, more people will borrow money and invest, as we have seen in the previous lecture. And less people will rather put their money into the bank and earn interest rate. The opportunity cost of investments will also fall. So central banks might very well, by controlling money supply, also um, affecting the interest rate and affecting the demand in the economy. And basically here we will see just the way the central bank's control will affect the interest rate in the economic system. And in the part where we connect all parts, we will also see, I mean, how the policies, how basically the central bank policies itself, I mean, with what logic they will be put into place, or they can be put into place, and how they affect also the overall economy. In this part, we won't see the effect on the overall economy. We will just see the effect on the financial markets. And as a starting point, before we come to the effect on the overall financial markets, let's discuss how Fed or other central banks are able to increase the money supply. You might say printing money, but usually central banks don't like printing money. They already have certain amount of money reserves of their own currency in their storage, and they usually want to use this money, because increasing and decreasing money supply is something they do regularly. They don't want to continuously increase the money supply, because they think this might harm the economic system. And if they already have some money in their storages, that money is not part of the money. I mean, money supply or the base money, because it's not money in circulation. It's money in a way in control of the government, basically. So when the central banks are willing to decrease the money supply, they sell government bonds, which are issued by the federal government or the government, main government of the country. Those bonds are sold to the people, and once you got a bond, you get a monthly payment each month, and then you got a main payment back after a certain period. But initially you pay money, and you don't get immediately that money back. So the amount of money supply, base money in the economic system, will get smaller. As it gets smaller, of course, it will also decrease as base money gets, for example, 80,000. Assuming the reserve ratio remains the same, the M1 in the economic system will also get smaller. And we assume that reserve ratio will not be affected by the base money amount, basically. Anyway, well, in order to increase the money supply, central banks do the other thing. They buy government bonds, the bonds that all people already have. You might say, I mean, these bonds are people people might be expecting to wait a little bit and get this interest rate and then the whole money back. But when Fed wants to buy those government bonds, it is offering a high price so that people will profit from this buying process. But by doing this, by getting bonds from the people, by offering the high price, so people don't wait those that interest rate, rather give the bonds to the central bank, they are increasing the base money in the economic system, and they are getting they are increasing money in the economic system, which they are getting the government bonds, but that's the secondary purposes. The primary purpose is increasing the money supply in the economic system. So in financial system, unlike the goods market case, even at the very beginning of the whole financial model, we have the government. Government is there. Um, Although, of course, I mean, usually the government's purposes are seen with suspicion by the neoclassical economists. So people basically think that the central banks should be governed by the professionals. They should the elected governments should not have that much effect on central banks. So independence of central banks is a thing. So there should be a certain policy logic of central banks, and they should operate according to this policy logic, which might be just regulating the banking system or regulating the banking system plus the economy, basically. So different countries are giving either only one of these functions or both of these functions to the central banks. The primary function is maybe still the regulating banking system, though. So, how can we model the financial system based on these information? Again, we have demand and supply for the money. Here, supply of the money will be fixed. It is actually provided by the central bank. We will see how the demand of the money will basically form. But instead of as price of money, so instead of the price to the vertical axis, we put the interest rate. That's the price of money. I mean, if you held money in your pocket in free form, in that case, you need to or in checkable deposits, because in order to get interest rate, you should put the money somewhere and wait to get that interest. But in checkable deposit, where you can use the money anytime you want, you don't get any interest. So interest rate is kind of the price of money, price of holding that money in your pocket instead of investing it, basically. So interest rate will become will take the place of the price because of that. So what can we say for the demand of money in that condition, in those conditions? Mainly, demand represents the amount of liquid money, the money they can use anytime they want. That's why it is liquid. Liquid can flow anytime you want. Solids are more stable, basically. So the money they can use anytime, the amount of money they had in a form they can use anytime, depends on the interest rate. The higher interest rate is, the less will be the amount of money people people are willing to hold to use anytime they want. The lower interest rate is, the amount of money people want to hold to use anytime will increase. I mean, the liquid money they want immediately available for their use will increase, basically. Well, when the interest rate fall, people think it's not worth. I mean, you can need your money anytime, even if even if you are earning a lot of money, for example, even if you think immediately you don't need that money for the daily expenses. If the interest rate is very low, well, anything can happen. Maybe you might get sick. You might need to have an urgent expense because of a disaster. Your house might burn, for example. So you might think it's not that much worth to have the money in the bank. But the higher interest rate is, the more you are willing to take risk and put more money into those assets. Where you cannot immediately. So that's the basic logic. I mean, the interest rate is determining the amount of liquid money people want to have, which might be M1, for example. So the money demand is basically a downward slope line. Money supply is something like this. So this is actually the amount of actual money available in the system. Here we assume basically the reserve ratio is fixed. So money supply is completely determined by the central bank in this model. So basically you have a fixed money supply, but basically if people want to have more money at the current interest rate compared with the money supply, in that case, uh, well, um, people want to have more money, but the banks need that money in their reserves or to cover the checkable deposits, basically. So the banks need the money, more money from the people. So in order to basically convince people to put more money into maybe time deposits or non-checkable deposits, I mean less liquid form, uh, the banks would increase the interest rate. So, so the basic model may be in this case not that much appropriate because already the basic asset liability model, people are anyway putting their money always back to the central bank. Or the banks basically as held in checkable deposits. But basically, the high money demand might be liquidity preference might be people might have some money even in the most liquid form, which is cash in their pockets, and rest maybe in the checkable deposits. And the banks might want to lend money in a more safer way. Um, because at a certain 0.2, basically their reserve ratio is fixed. Their reserve ratio is fixed, so the amount of available money uh, is uh, is fixed basically. So they should have a certain amount of reserves. But if everyone wants to have their money in checkable deposits, the ratio of checkable deposits and the reserves will basically change. So basically, when money demand is higher than money supply, which is fixed, which is available amount of money, the interest rate will rise, and rising interest rate will decrease the demand of money. More people will put their money to the less liquid assets, and then the market will return to the equilibrium interest rate. The other way around, if the money demand is less than money supply, in that case, the interest rate will fall down, since at the interest rate anyway the amount of money people want is more than the less than the money supply. And in the end, again, the market will return to the equilibrium point where the money demand and money supply are equal to each other. Actually, this model serves best when you think about pocket money. I mean, there's a fixed amount of money available in the banks. To let people and if people want more of their checkable deposits, more of the money they have in the bank in the money form, liquid form. In that case, because the banks don't have the money, they should convince the people, and to convince the people to keep their money in the bank, they need to increase the interest rate. But same thing is also true for the time deposits and checkable deposits. They don't want to have a large amount of checkable deposits. So if the amount of money people want to hold in checkable deposits instead of time deposits and other less liquid forms gets higher, still the banks need to increase the interest rate to convince people to hold their money in less liquid form, because the amount of checkable deposits can only be the reserves times the um, reserves divided by the reserve ratio, basically. So this is the basic logic. And what makes demand shift and what makes supply shift in this case? Um, well, we will briefly review these factors in the next part. See you in the next part.